Meeting will come to order. Ms. Score, just let it be shown that all members are present and accounted for. If you'll stand with me now, we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Ruff, will you lead us in the pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Gore, do we have any citizens' comments? Thank you. We'll move ahead to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
A move by Ms. Williams, second by Ms. Conley. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it and the motion passes. We'll move on into reports. I will start with my report, just a very short report tonight. Just some really cool things that I've been seeing online about some of our students. Throughout these last few weeks since we met last, I know our band just competed in a national competition that they had never been to before, and so this was their first time. They made the semifinals along with another band in, I think with Bartlett was the other band. Yeah, and so that was a really big deal for both those bands. And finished, I think, 33rd out of 90-something bands, and so that was a really, really big deal for them to go and to finish like that. And so if you see any of those kids, any of those students, any of our directors and people, I just encourage you to pat them on the back and give them your signature congratulations, whatever that may be. I've been seeing people already accept their acceptances to college and things like that. I love seeing that, where parents, put all the stuff on social media about their kids and where they're going to go, and so it's just a really exciting time. I think, especially as a father myself, I love just seeing my friends, or my kids' friends and my own kids do those kind of things. And so it just says, again, a lot about our school and our system, and putting kids, giving kids an opportunity to go where they want to go. I saw that our dance team had competed well at the state competition, and so again, just excelling in a lot of extracurricular activities as well as academics. And then again, back to almost students choosing their colleges because they're making excellent ACT scores or SAT scores, and that's just big deal. So I'm really proud of what our students are doing for sure. I hope we'll get a chance to recognize some of those guys down the road. Mr. Mayo, I'm sure you'll plan us some of that down the road. You don't have anything else to do. So if you could put that on your list. Yeah, and then just wanted to talk about Dr. Viox, big week for him and for our system as well. But Dr. Viox has been involved in our state school board level for quite a number of years, and so this is the big one. This is the big one. So he will be installed as our state school board president, and so that's really exciting. And so we're all, most of us are going out. You're not going to be able to make it this year, are you?
I am not. I got family coming in from Florida.
That's right. And so it's just a big deal. We're going to get to go and celebrate with you and see see all that come to fruition. So it'll be a big deal for Arlington to have you in that seat, and so we expect big things out of you.
Well, we're going to highlight the district. That's thing number one. And I'll throw that right back at you, Mr. Benjamin, as you will be joining me on the cabinet as the Delta District Director for the next 3 years, which is also a very big deal. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. Really, really excited to serve in that role as well.
You're going to be great.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. As will you.
Thank you.
Can we pat each other on the back some more?
Yeah.
All right, that is all my report for tonight. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Just a couple of things. We will be having our Q2 celebration for second quarter, and first semester will be over here before we know it, once we come back from Thanksgiving. That will be the week of December the 4th, and you all should have received a sign up on that. I embedded that in my Mental Health Monday to make sure everybody read that first before they sign up for their Chick-fil-A. So if you didn't read it and you didn't sign up for your Chick-fil-A, then you know where it is. So anyway, you all are welcome to pick a school, pick a day, join us for that if your schedules permit. We did have our second, and now we can call it annual. Tyler's got a big pet peeve with people calling it our first annual, because it's not annual until you've already had it once. Now we can say, second annual trunk or treat, and it was a huge success again. Weather was a little dicey, but people came out for it anyway. It was a typical feeling kind of Halloween night for that. It wasn't hot, for sure. So we're looking forward to next year already. The Top Workplace Banquet will be December the 14th, and Ms. Gore will be sending you all information on that to check your availability, to see if you're going to be able to go or not. We have reserved our seats for that, and we're in the process of purchasing those tickets. It will be at a new venue this year. It's not going to be out at the whatever that hotel is out there, the Marriott. It will be downtown at a different venue. So I think it starts at 4 and goes till 7, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what that's like this year. So anyway, that event's coming around the corner. It's December the 14th, if you're available to attend. We will be having our next SLR team, and that team, if you'll remember, works on the instructional calendar. And so we will be tossing ideas. We've asked them to come with some ideas this year. We're doing a little bit differently. And then when we leave there, hopefully we'll have 3 or 4 renditions of a proposed 25-26 instructional calendar, because the one for 24-25 has already been approved and out there on the website. Approved by you all. It still has to be approved by TDOE when that year gets ready to start. But anyway, we will bring you hopefully a recommendation for that new calendar in the spring, probably sometime around March or so. And that concludes my report. Just want to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for a great second quarter so far, and good semester. Can't complain. It's been good.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Do we do departmental reports here, or are you doing that?
We do. Does anyone have one? I've had several people tell me today they did not. Mr. Goforth, you're the one and only. Come on.
All right.
Thanks
I
for
do
the
have a report, but mine is short. But I actually have a few slides as well, so it's only about 4 or 5, but again, this is very short. Mainly, I just wanted to update you on a few things from the academic world. First thing is, I've mentioned before, but computer science. Computer science is something that we will be required by the state to offer next year in all of our schools across elementary, middle, and high school. What the state's take on this is, and which it is true, that virtually every job out there today is tied somehow to computers or technology. There's nothing we do anymore that is not connected to technology. So they want to take it a step further and make sure that every student has a foundation for computer technology before they graduate. So what that means is, of course, the state has a whole lot of options. Let's see if I can get this to work. Oh, side, sorry. Other side, sorry. Got it. Of course, the state has a lot of supports in place, as they always do.
Oh, please.
As you can see, they have grade band specific computer science courses, standard resources for us. They have targeted professional development modules that allow us to deliver the computer science instruction. They have a no-cost computer science endorsement pathway for educators to pursue an additional endorsement in computer science. Of course, no one can get into those pathways because they're all full, and they told us we would have to wait till next summer to get into those. And then the last thing, they have a computer science education network for support, so we can collaborate with other districts. So they're providing their supports as always. So what does that mean for us as a district. So elementary schools, what they require at the elementary level is that it be integrated within a science class, a math class, so it would be integrated in. So it would not be an additional set-aside period. What they're requiring at middle school is it has to be offered for one grading period. So like the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, or the fourth quarter. So middle school, they have to get at least a quarter of computer science. And the big one is at the high school level where they have to have a full year credit for computer science. So elementary, it's integrated in. Middle school, it's offered for one grading period. And at the high school, one credit will be required, and that will be a graduation requirement beginning next year. So computer science will be out and about offerings in our schools, just so you are aware. But like you said, I think the state's focus it's a very good focus. As with anything else, it's new. They're still trying to work out the support systems, but as you know, we will make that work. We always do. But anyway, so that's computer science, just so you are aware. Next thing, just quickly, just to touch base, I just want to remind you that the state does have major initiatives in early literacy in place. They continually focus on these through everything that they send out to us and as we do as a district. So the Reading 360, that's really our professional development for those foundational skills. The Tennessee Literacy Success Act, that's our universal reading screeners, our home literacy reports. Of course, the Tennessee Learning Loss Remediation and Student Acceleration Act. That's all of our summer programming. And then, of course, tutoring. So the state continually reminds us of these initiatives they have. And, of course, we partake in all of those in our schools. So I wanted to just close this out by touching base with you. As you remember last year, there are various pathways to fourth grade for our students, what we call the third grade, the retention law, that type of thing. All of that will continue forth this year as we have our approaching students on TCAP and we have our below students. There's summer camps, there's tutoring, there's retakes, there's appeals. So all of that will play out just like it did last year. And again, thanks to our elementary schools and Ms. Kottner, they did a fabulous job of rolling all of that out, supporting those families. We couldn't ask for more. It was outstanding. But we're following the same support systems as we guide these kids down these pathways to fourth grade. As I said, a big part of that is tutoring, and I just want to give a shout out again to our elementary schools and all the great work they do in supporting these kids. I wanted you to have just an overview of all of the tutoring opportunities at the schools. As you can see, for our K-2 students, we have a great partnership with the Arlington Senior Citizen Center. The volunteers come into the schools where we're tutoring about 40 to 50 students, which is outstanding. And that is something that the state sort of threw back on us as of the past few months, where they came back and told us that if we retained any student in kindergarten, first or second grade, then those students are required to have a full year of tutoring. So our seniors have been a great support for that. Of course, we're continuing to tutor our third grade students because we want to work with those students to make sure that those students with the skills needs get the support they need to be ready for TCAP. Our fourth grade students, we're tutoring 10 students there, and our fifth grade students, we're tutoring about 10 there. Now, you noticed, I want to point out that where I've highlighted in yellow, the fourth grade students, you see we're working with 10 students there. Okay, 6 of those students are students that were not proficient or approaching on TCAP in third grade, so they chose the tutoring pathway. Okay, so those students were promoted on to fourth grade, but the requirement was that they receive a full year of tutoring. So those 6 students are getting that. Okay, but we got to remember that those students have to take TCAP at the end of the 4th grade. So here's where the exciting part comes in.
I can imagine.
We're working to get those students proficient, of course, because if they're not, they would be retained at the end of 4th grade. All right, the next slide here, the state says that if they're not proficient, they can show adequate growth. Okay? Now, Ms. Douglas, forgive me as I try to explain this from the academics point of side. So I just want to just show you this so you can see that our schools do an outstanding job, but the details that we have to work through with our teachers and our students and our parents to get them to understand what's even taking place. So if you look what I have up here on this slide, so we have a 4th grade student that's been in tutoring all year. He takes the TCAP, and it comes back as approaching. He's not proficient. So the state says that if he shows adequate growth, he could be promoted on to 5th grade. So, now, they've just shared this out the past couple of weeks of how the adequate growth is to be figured. So I'm going to give a short attempt to explain this to you, because you would think this all began with them saying as long as they showed like 5% growth on TCAP from 3rd grade to 4th grade, those students could be promoted on. Well, this is what it has come to. So you look at this up here where you see the 3rd grade scale score. So a 3rd grade student took the TCAP, 3rd grade, and made 345 scale score. That's an approaching score. So the child is not proficient. Mom says, okay, I want to move him to 4th grade, and he will be tutored the whole year. So he's moved on to 4th grade, he'll be tutored the whole year. Okay, that's great. So after they take the TCAP in 3rd grade, the state issues like a probability percentage saying that Johnny has a 20% chance of being proficient on the 4th grade TCAP. Okay? So far, you're with me. All right, so we have the 20%. Every student gets one of those probability estimates. So Johnny's is 20%. All right, so then they share the adequate growth target. Okay, in layman's terms, I guess the way to describe this to you is, you see the 50%, okay? I describe this like 50%, most students have a 50% chance of being proficient on TCAP. That most would, average would. So what the state has done is they've taken that 50% and they subtract that probability percentage, which is 20% for Johnny, and you come up with 30%, and then they divide that by 8, which equals 3.8%. Okay, you're thinking, well, where do they get the 8 from? Okay, well, supposedly, as of now, they pace this out through the end of the 10th grade year. Okay? And what they're trying to say, before the end of the 10th grade year and a student takes an EOC, that student would be back to that 50% chance of possibly being proficient on the EOC. And if they are, at the end of 10th grade, they would be college and career ready. Okay? So, bottom line, a student must demonstrate a 23.8% or greater probability of being proficient in 5th grade to be promoted to the be promoted to the 5th grade. So, last thing, I know you're thinking like, what in the world? But what they do is they take the 4th grade probability estimate, which is 20%. They add the adequate growth target, which is 3.8%, and you see that's 23.8%. So remember what I told you, when a student takes the TCAP, when the student takes the TCAP in 4th grade, they're going to go ahead and do a proper probability percentage for what he would score in 5th grade on TCAP. So what we hope is his probability percentage that the state comes up with is 23.8%, or possibly lower at that state, because that's where he's got to show the 23.8% or greater probability of being proficient in 5th grade. So that's sort of an overview, and mainly, again, I'm sharing this because this is what these 6 students, the formula they will be put into. So it's, yes.
So this whole thing, all the way to 10th grade, hinges on the 4th grade probability estimate, correct? Basically.
That's what they're saying, correct, yes.
So what is their metric for coming up with this probability estimate? Like, is it a sliding scale based on their 3rd grade score? Have they made that available to you?
Well, I guess the question would be, and Ms. Douglas may can answer, but I guess what our question is, the probability percentage is, from our end, I don't know the exact metrics of how that's determined.
I mean, they should make that available to
well,
you, because it's the most important part of this equation.
Well, and our question all along has been this, is, so I don't have any problem with kids being successful at each grade level moving up to 10th grade.
Right.
But my question is, of course, is the reality is right now we're trying to get these 4th graders to 5th grade. That's what our focus is. So whatever with the 10th grade, I get that part.
Yeah.
But, where is the monitoring piece of what's happening at 6th grade or 7th grade or 8th
Right.
grade or 9th grade or 10th grade?
Right.
Now, maybe there's something out there that they will come up with.
Well, the way
But-
that boys mature, the 3rd grade is not a good indicator of where they're going to be even in the 4th grade, much less the 10th grade, just based on the way they mature. You certainly could not put a female in that category because they mature so much faster.
Right. And our other kind of connecting to that is, and we've met with the other municipals about this, and, think of trying to explain this to a parent.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a challenge. So
I'm probably gonna need you to explain it to me again.
exactly. Well, like I said,
Well,
I said,
it all
all the
hinges on
municipals
this.
met
I
last
agree,
week, and for 2 or 3 hours, we're just trying to
Is it?
figure out exactly,
arbitrary? How's it go?
what all of this means, and everybody has a different interpretation, and we've learned how this stuff works. With time, it will settle. They will go back and say, oh, well, this really.
They'll figure out how bad it was.
So and so and so and so. But again, like I said, I don't disagree with, projecting out success for kids, but I know what we've stressed to parents is the importance of the tutoring throughout the year, being successful on TCAP. That's our priority right now, is getting those kids where they can move on to 5th grade, So be the formula out through 10th grade, whatever it is. But anyway, again, I'm mainly showing you that because that's what we
Well, the
have
piece
to
of
deal
it that's
with.
going to cause you a problem is if somehow if it is in fact an arbitrary estimate of 20%, which then gets you 23.8%, which then holds this child back in 4th grade, you're going to have to explain that to a parent about a 3rd grade retention law. They're going to think they're already past all that because they met the requirement of daily tutoring. That's going to be interesting.
And that's what we're trying to do throughout the school year is the parents know that tutoring is available, but we have to remind them constantly that that's great that you're in tutoring all year, but 4th grade TCAP does happen, and you do have to be proficient, or you're going to have to take this adequate growth avenue, which the state is still defining as we're speaking, you know, but, so absolutely.
Wow.
The thing that concerns me about all this with these arbitrary
interesting.
numbers is the stress that it puts on the teachers as far as teaching the students, on the families because they don't really understand this stuff. They just want their child to learn the fourth grade information and be able to pass the test. And it's become so complicated and bogged down with stuff like this. I'd like to meet the person that's coming up with all of this.
Well, and like you said, and they release these things in segments like, you know, this pops up and we're like, oh, well, this is something new, you know.
Yeah.
So the way things start, you know, it starts out this way, but when it ends up, we're like, oh, okay, well, but, you know, there's always, I say, there's a blessing and everything. You know, we have our district, our schools have done such a great job. We do only have really 6 students that could fall into this adequate growth category. And I think you all know that we do everything in our power to
Absolutely.
support those kids and find avenues and pathways for them to do what's best academically. So our team is working on that. But again, I mainly wanted you just to see what gets shared with us and how we interpret it. And if you took this to Knoxville, probably, they probably would have a different interpretation. If you took this probably to Kingsport or Germantown, they'd be like, oh, well, that means that, or this means this. So anyway, it's a lot. But like you said, we do our best to support the kids, and you know.
I'm gonna
Kudos
end my
to that.
100%, and that's what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna end all of my comments about this saying they're making it incredibly difficult for you to navigate this. The state is, and secondarily, there are very, very good school districts across this state that had double and triple the number of students that we had. So that is a testament to everybody that's working on this. I have no doubt those 10 students or 8, 6, or however
6,
many
yeah.
you need, 6 total are gonna get what they need because, as I said, very, very accomplished school districts had 3 times that number.
Right.
So,
So and
well
that's
done.
credit to our teachers. So.
Well done.
Yeah.
Mr. Goforth, didn't you say though, that, when we're talking about they divided by 8, isn't that the number of times that those students supposedly will take the TCAP to come up with this magnificent number?
Right. I think they said it
3
ends at
10th,
like the end of their 10th grade year, the EOC.
They will have taken it that
Right.
many times. That's why that magic 8 was
right
important.
appeared. So, you know. Any
I
other?
won't say much. I will say we're sitting here confused, you guys, basically because this is nothing but value added. And we know
Yeah.
we've always done about value added over the years. So this is what you're looking at. You speak about that probability of 20%. That probability changes every year. It's based on how many data points that student has behind their name. So they're a 3rd grader. They've only taken that 3rd grade test. And then our kids also take the 2nd grade test. So they've had multiple data points. So as they get to 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, they have more data. So I'm not saying we have to agree with the calculation, but I just want us to remember that that's what it is. It's value added. And we speak about that 50 divided by 8. That's that old No Child Left Behind.
Yeah.
Decrease your below proficient by 50% over 8 years. So that's why we're seeing those numbers sitting there. And then again, they're going to take it multiple times. So as Todd said, they take it 8 times. The probability changes over 8 years. But that formula stays the same, 50 divided by 8, because you're decreasing your below proficient by 50% over an 8-year period. It's the goal. I'm going to stop there unless y'all want a value added class or something.
No, we're good.
Mr. Goforth, will you share that with us, what you just showed us? Will you share that with us? We happen to be going to state and school board convention, and there might be some opportunities to ask a few questions.
Additional slides to support this, but I will share the whole thing.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goforth. I actually asked him to speak about that tonight, but I was so excited because my report was so short that I just moved right over him. So anyway, that concludes the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayo. Financial report, Ms. Sappinsley, any questions over our financial report? Anything you need us to know, Ms. Sappinsley? Okay, thank you. TLR report, Mr. Dunn?
No report this month.
Okay, awesome. We'll move on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Bioc, second by Ms. Conley. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. We'll move along to business recommended action items. Mr. Mayo.
Okay. Business recommended action item 7A is Resolution 2023-25 of the Arlington Community Schools Board of Education granting tenure to eligible teachers. You have the resolution in front of you, but I would like to call out the teachers' names that are being recommended for tenure. And obviously, you've received prior information about that and why they're eligible and how they're eligible from our Human Resources Department. So at Arlington Elementary School, we have Brooke Hazenzahl and we have Mary Marlin. At Arlington High School, we have Clemisa Applewhite, Adrian Lester, Samuel Shermer, Heather Trim, and Lauren Williams. At Arlington Middle School, we have Claire James, Sharita Person. At Donaldson Elementary School, we have Emily Cooley, Shelby Pina, Rachel Ray, and Cheryl Watkins. And it is my recommendation that the school board approve Resolution 2023-25 of ACS Board of Education granting tenure to these eligible teachers.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve item 7A?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Conley, second by Dr. Bioc. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Mr. Mayo, 7B.
Okay, the next item is 7B, Policy 6.204, Attendance of Non-Resident Students. I'm actually recommending a policy amendment to the school board for this policy, and the amendment recommendation is to waive tuition for both in-county, which is our current practice, and out-of-county approved students, which is the proposed new practice. Those admitted from out of state will continue to pay tuition per state law. This would be effective for the 24-25 school year if approved. Some of the reasons for recommendation for waiving out-of-county tuition is, first of all, ACS is losing enrollment to the tune of about 200 students per year due to the opening of Lakeland High School. We're about 400 students down at this point due to the opening of their 9th and 10th grades. This will continue for a couple more years as they add an 11th and 12th grade. So for the 25-26 school year, we will be at a new set point for AHS at approximately 800 students less than what we were when Lakeland opened their high school. The tuition collected is less than 1% of our total revenues. Waiving tuition could potentially get us closer back to our enrollment when several of our programs were built around that previous enrollment, very successful programs for students who are leaving our district, graduating and either going to college or entering the workforce or doing a combination of both. The impact of enrollment by waiving tuition will also help to preserve our workforce. While we've committed to that over the years, it'll also help us from a fiscal perspective, as every student that we attract in-state from another district will, that money, that state allocation for that student will come with that student. So that will assist us with stabilizing our fiscal responsibility when it comes to funding employees. Also, this will assist with attracting more scholars, more athletes, and students in fine arts. I've spoken the last few weeks. I've been in contact with many of some of the fine arts teachers, several of the coaches, the principal about the academic programs, and everyone that I've spoken to feels that this would be beneficial to all of the programs, especially at Arlington High School, but also at Arlington Middle School, as those programs start feeding that early on. So with that, if this is being considered for approval. There is a proposed amendment policy attached to your agenda tonight, but before you consider that, I would also like to propose an amendment on line 4 and have that start with the sentence, effective with the 24-25 school year, accepted non-resident students residing in Shelby County and accepted out-of-county non-resident students shall not pay tuition. And the change there is the timeline was not entered in the original amendment. So we do need a timeline in there to show that that's effective beginning at the next school year. That's the purpose of that additional amendment. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that once you all get it on the
We need to make a
floor.
second amendment to change the wording. And will you say that one more time for me?
Line 4, start the sentence with effective with the 20.
Oh, the man's here. I'm
Yeah, you
sorry.
got it? Okay.
I'll go ahead then and make a secondary motion to amend line 4 to start the sentence with effective with the 2024-2025 school year, accepted non-resident students residing in Shelby County and accepted out-of-county non-resident students shall not pay tuition.
One question before we move on with that. Do I need to put the motion on the floor before we amend the,
Oh, I thought we did that. I'm
that
sorry, I
right?
jumped ahead.
yeah, okay, we'll start with the,
Well-
we'll start with the motion to.
Motion to approve
Yeah,
the
yeah. so-
policy as stated.
Yeah, okay, so you've heard a motion and second, so a motion by Dr. Viox, second by Ms. Conley, any discussion around,
Now we need to do
the
the
motion, yeah,
secondary.
yeah.
Do we want to add that?
Yeah, well, let's,
let you do it.
yeah, we'll do so any discussion around the motion initially? And so now we'll take the motion for
I'm
the
gonna
amendment.
let you read that since you.
Yeah,
have it
so
in
I'll
here.
read the amendment.
So make it a second.
Yeah, the second, the suggested amendment is line 4, start the sentence with effective with the 2024-25 school year, accepted non-resident students residing in Shelby County and accepted out-of-county non-resident students shall not pay tuition. And so that's
I'll second that.
this suggested, so I guess we'll need a motion for that.
I thought that's what you were
Is,
doing.
am I making the motion if I read it?
You
All
got,
right,
you
I'll
got
make the
right there in
motion.
front of you, brother.
I'll make the motion. It's second by Dr. Viox. So any discussion around the amendment to the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the amendment to the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none, and so the amendment to the motion passes. And so we already have a motion on the floor for the change in the policy. So any discussion around
I have a
that?
discussion, Mr. Chairman. I think, first of all, this is a fabulous idea. But I also think that we should, just for the general public, say that there are very rigorous criteria that have to be met before a non-resident is accepted here. So it's, for some of the people that may say, oh my, they're just going to open the doors to whomever. It's the same rigorous standard that everyone meets, whether they're paying tuition or not. And so based on all of that, and I know how rigorous those standards are, I think it is a fabulous idea.
And that was a conversation held with anyone that we discussed this with, that I discussed this with, was there will be no leniency or
Yep.
changes to the rules for admission of a non-resident student. This is just about tuition, has nothing to do with anything else.
Just that's for the general public.
Yeah, I like that piece of it too, because it doesn't change anything about admissions here. And so I love giving people an opportunity to come to Arlington that may not live in the district. I think it's a fabulous.
Well, bring your talent. We've always
Yeah,
said that. Bring your
exactly.
talent. We've been an open and non-resident since
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
All right, so any other discussion? So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none, and the ayes have it, the motion passes. Anything else from anyone before we dismiss? All right, we are dismissed.